How are we going? Welcome everybody to another episode of the B League's Best Ball Show. I am your man. I am your guy. I'm your confidant. I am Dan at the B League Says, coming at you with another Best Ball draft. We are flying about, having a good time, and going to be looking around about what we're going to do post-rookie draft. I believe I'm on the clock with pick, tell me I'm on the turn, pick 10. That's an interesting place to be, which is fantastic. I am here looking around, trying to find different things, oh, there we go. We have a tracker. No, we're going to add that in. Oh, very good. As always, go to goingfor2.com for all your information, fantasy football, all that sort of jazz. We are going to go live. We are going to do that today. Welcome to anybody that wanted to join. I am messing around with, there we go. We're very amateur here, and I've been nothing but since the start going to play underdog fantasy. Yeah, I know. I get it. Thank you for the tag. And we're going to talk a little bit about rookies and a little bit about drafting. Obviously, the NFL draft has taken off. How do we fix this? No. Is this what we want? That's what we want down in that bottom corner. Very good, Jeff. You've done your job. We are going to talk about the NFL rookies that just taken off. We are going to be talking about a few different picks, opportunities to take advantage of as well, which is interesting because we could see already a few players are falling, a few players are picking up, obviously from the draft, people taking advantage of someone who went here, there, or anywhere else. I myself am going to be drafting Puka Nacua here at the 110. I can't imagine much changes for him this year, let alone with or without Cooper Kupp. We're going to be on the clock in 3 picks time. If you've noticed in our Discord, which is a phenomenal Discord, it's going for 2 live. It is free. Fantastic place. Go over there now. There's all those Scott Fishbowl mocks in there. We are mocking like crazy. And you can get all your Dynasty startup information over there for free as well. So it's a hell of a Discord to be a part of. All your favorite analysts are there. All the ones from you see on our shows, your YouTubes and all that sort of stuff. Go find them, answers, tag them, ask them questions, all that sort of jazz. That's what you really want to be doing. And obviously, you can get information about that, let alone best ball. But the best ball channel that I'm in over there most of the time with, I put out a lot of information this week about rookies that were selected in February, the day before the NFL draft and the day after. And you can see a whole bunch of stuff in there. We're going to run riot with, who do we take? Rams, San Fran stack with their Ayuk, maybe. He's not going anywhere. Oh, he might be. You might get lucky with deeper later. Let's go hero RB with Jonathan Taylor. I'm not the biggest fan of Saquon Barkley. He can go fuck himself. That's the Giants fan there talking about a guy that left us for Philly. Go fuck yourself. You'll end up like the Sixers did to the Knicks. Thank you very much for coming. But yeah, I put a lot of information out there about rookies that were just taken, when and how, and all that sort of stuff. And it was kind of telling to see all the rookies that were picked in February. There were more rookies being picked when we had less information in February earlier. So it's kind of wild when you think about that. So if I put it out here, the first draft I did was in February. 41 rookies were drafted as a whole, 5 inside the top 10. Obviously, it was pretty much stock standard. It was, if I remember off the top of my head, I can just look. It was off the top of my head. Where are we? It was Harrison, Neighbors, Aduns, Thomas, and Bowers. And they hadn't moved much at all over the last 2.5 months. So that's interesting to see how that's been. Obviously, the draft before the NFL draft that I did, there was, let's have a look at that. There was 41 rookies drafted, 9 inside the top 10. So they started to come up. And that's when you start to see information from pro days, the combine, the Senior Bowl, all that sort of stuff, all that information that we gather starts to come into it. And then we can see it as that progresses. A few more guys like Xavier Worthy creep in. Obviously, a quarterback might sneak in. Caleb Williams wasn't even a top 10 round pick in February. So, and he was it was known that he was the guy, and he was still being taken. I don't want to say that I knew because I didn't get a lot of exposure to Caleb Williams. It's like, okay, he's going to Chicago, but Chicago have done some really stupid things in the past. So we kind of know what they have and haven't done. And we know that they're good for like doing stupid shit. So taking Caleb Williams wasn't such a sure thing. But then obviously they had O'Duns. O'Duns is going to start falling back now because he finds himself with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, which isn't great. DeAndre Swift kind of limits a lot of what he could do, let alone Komet and Everett and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot going on there as well, but even he wasn't in there. So it might have been a Jaden Daniels. It might have been a Drake May. It would have been, let me tell you the truth, it was Harrison Neighbors O'Duns, Brian Thomas at the 6th, so he moved up around. Brock Bowers moved up around. Xavier Worthy moved from the 12th round to the 7th round. Adonai Mitchell moved up from the 12th round to the 8th round. Trey Benson moved from the 12th round to the 9th round, and he ended up being a backup in Arizona behind James Conner. Williams moved up 1 round. And like that's basically where you're at. Like that's it. So a lot of movement there had flushed forward through people who are favorites with that sort of stuff, who'd seen the combine, who had seen what had been done. And that's kind of worked out in that regard. But aside from that, we go back to the draft that happened before, just after the draft happened. And I can tell you now let's have a look. Where did I put this down? It's all in our Discord. 37 rookies, so less rookies were drafted, but 11 were inside the top 10. So the discount's already gone. So you've lost this. You're paying up for guys who, obviously, you were talking about 5 in the top 10 before. That discount's long gone. We don't get to take that anymore. And now we're paying up for guys that we've lost that discount on. But if you have a look at it, you're looking at Harrison, Neighbors, O'Duns. Worthy moved up another round to the 6th round. Thomas moved back around. Obviously goes to Jacksonville, Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk. They did lose, however, which I found interesting. They did lose Zay Jones the day after that this draft was taken. So I'm interested to see now where this guy is going to be picked, just out of curiosity, where he could end up going. I find that's going to be interesting to see because he might fall up in another round or two based on that. Look at that. Achane's moved back around. Wow, he's moved back behind Josh Jacobs. Look at that. That's interesting. So we've gone Jonathan Taylor, we've gone Puka Nacua, we've got some good plays, and then Neighbors is starting to come around. Neighbors is now fallen back around, poor guy. You go to the Giants, move back around. Look at that. I might go Cooper Kupp, see if I can get that Rams stack. That might be interesting. Although I can get that late stack with Neighbors. I think like Neighbors is going to fall into 150 targets as it is. Like that's just going to happen. I don't think it really matters much more than that. Daniel Jones is going to be capable enough to get him the ball. Daniel Jones hasn't had a wide receiver for 4 years. Like they keep resigning like Sterling Shepard, torn Achilles. Go on, throw it to him. Like, what are we doing here? Sterling Slayton, Kenny Golladay, he's a bum. Like, what are we doing? Going to be on the clock again. We're going to add. Where are you, Matt Stafford? Matt Stafford, Daniel Jones. Obviously, they didn't replace Jones, but people are going to start thinking Drew Lock. Where's Drew Lock? Is he starting to come up? He has started to come up. Oh my God. What are we doing? What are we doing, people? Drew Lock. What are we doing? But I'm looking at the board here. Obviously, there's Laporta, there's Henry. Laporta's an interesting name. We can now get he started out the 2nd round in February. So now we're getting 2 rounds on him. Some of those rookies are pushing him back. So yeah, interesting. We're going to be up in a minute. So we're going to try and get as much done as we can over the next hour or so, or whatever we do, because this might get boring because an hour-long draft is probably not what you want to hear me do anyhow. Where are we? I am on the clock. Shouldn't be trying to read that. We're going to go Cooper Kupp. We're going to get that Stafford stack. Test, got to come up with a better name title. No, I don't. I don't know how to do this. You should know this by now. Has Kyren Williams started finally falling to where he should be in round 4 or 5? No. Why would he start falling for? Kyren Williams, where was he taken? Back of the 2nd, which is probably about right. Probably. I'm guessing by that tone, Jamie, not a fan of Kyren Williams. I get it. I get it. I understand. I'm not the biggest Kyron Williams guy, but we've seen Sean McVay. He doesn't really like to lean on more than one running back at a time, which is the truth. Like you see, his best success has either come with like last year's Kyron Williams or Todd Gurley spreading the load over, like Blake Corum going there. I could give a shit. I don't care. Blake Corum is a guy that we don't have to think about, I think, for another year or so, depending on, I think Kyron Williams, it's probably, 3 years from his rookie deal, right? They might tag him for another year. Like, what are we? Kyron Williams is a fake bell cow. Blake Corum's not a better running back. That's the problem with that. You assume that he is because it's just, they're not replacing a guy they had their best success with a guy that is okay. It's just, I don't think that's going to happen personally. I would say this. I think Blake Corum is going to be a very nice backup running back for the Rams for another year. I don't see why they would change it. I think it's very telling what the Rams have done. They did absolutely nothing to change their starting offense. That's the truth, right? Who did they add? Like a tight end? They didn't add a tight end. I don't think they added a receiver. I don't think they added Blake Corum in the 4th or 5th round. That's not enough to move Kyron Williams from what he was doing. And again, I'm not a big Kyron Williams guy. I've been doing my projections at the moment. I don't see a reason why to move him away from where he's going. Now, would I have him ahead of other people in that ilk? Probably not. I don't think so. I wouldn't have him. That's a very good question. Why would they draft a third running back in the class so early if they were going to sit him on the bench? Now, change the Rams to the Falcons and change Corum to Penix. Like, why do teams do things? Why do they ever do things? Like, why do they do some stupid shit? That's my answer. Teams do stupid things all the time. They need a good backup. They were struggling with Royce Freeman last year. Ronnie Rivers isn't that guy. I think Blake Corum is a very good backup for what they need. Could they have got someone like him a round or two later? Maybe, but he's a good player, Blake Corum. I just don't think he's a guy that's going to do anything. There's no need to draft him. And you're talking about overinflating a draft pick. Like, we're looking at Blake Corum in here. Where are we? Let's get away from this. Blake Corum. I'll tell you about Blake Corum in a minute. Where are we? Blake Corum, I hope you have been falling. I can't see you. It would just be easier to type your name in. ADP of 129, so he's going around that 12th round range. Why? Okay, if he falls a round or two later and you want your backup in there, sure, why not? Personally, I just personally wouldn't do that at all. All right, now you're just being combative for no reason. Kyron Williams is a great backup for Corum. I get it. I understand. You've got your guy. Your guy last year was Roschon Johnson, and that didn't work out either for you. So, maybe picking backup running backs is your thing, Jamie. Who knows? I could use a backup running back in the Giants. That'd be nice. Let's see, any surprises here? We're on the clock. Let's have a look after this next. We're on the clock for 30. Where are we? 5th round. Ooh, Xavier Worthy, O'Dunn's, Jaden Reed. Walker's in there too. Rashee Rice, that's interesting. All those Kansas City receivers. I like none of them. Let's go Kenneth Walker. I like none of those guys. If you've got a clusterfuck of those three and you don't know which one to pick, just stay away. Let there be someone else's problem. Good Sunday going for Two Family. How are you? NBA Rigged. Nice to meet you. How are we doing on this beautiful day? Well, where I live at the moment, it sucks outside. It's raining and it's cold and it's grey. It's fantastic though. It's good New York weather, right? That's what we want. An overcast day where we can sit inside on the lounge room, drink a beer and draft. It's wild. That's what we're here for. That's a good day if you ask me. We're going to be on the clock in a minute, then we're going to have a look at some of these picks that have taken place. Look at those 3 Kansas receivers sitting in there. That's insane. I I am not touching them. I am probably going to go with I'm going to go George Kittle. I'll tell you why I'm going to go George Kittle. It's easy to go George Kittle in this place because I've got those Rams players. So we're looking at like a reverse stack or interdivision stack in that regard. So what I'm hoping for is that week, obviously before the schedule takes off, we're obviously looking for maybe San Fran play the Rams in that period of time, and maybe that game goes off. So if I've got Kupp, if I have Kittle, if I have Nakua, and then I can go and get Purdy or Stafford in that regard, and that's something that I can bank on. So, yeah, that's what we're here for. New York type of day. Swell, great day to chat about football for sure. It sure is. It's good. The Bears now have a great backup to Roschon Johnson pickup. I just like Swift this year. Swift is incredible value. You look at DeAndre Swift at this point. You're going to get him. So you're telling me that we can get DeAndre Swift with an ADP of 90 or Blake Corum with an ADP of 129. Like, which one's? It's madness. Anyways, let's have a look at this. So anyway, let's get a little bit of a check here through the first couple of rounds. No real surprises there in the first round. Jefferson starting to climb back up now that you can put a face to the quarterback. Bijan and Robinson, Bijan and Hall are in there. No changes. Drake London getting into the first round is interesting. Marvin Harris, that's the first time I think I've seen Marvin Harrison drafted before the 2-4. But good for him. And again, that mixture of running backs in there, Barkley, Taylor, Gibbs, they fluctuate between the late first, early second. A bit of settling in there. Chris Olave is a big mover there at the 2-5. That's interesting. I guess, look, obviously you got Debo in there with Ayuk. No one knew what to do. Nico and Stephon Diggs in there. No one really knows what to do. You've also obviously got DJ Moore being hit by. I still don't know why DJ Moore's going before Keenan Allen just quietly. That's wild. Keenan Allen was on target for 200 targets last year. That's just madness to me. DJ Moore's going ahead of him with a new quarterback. Okay. I mean, if it was Fields, different story maybe, but I don't know. So outside of Olave going, the 2-5? That's interesting to me. Devon Achane has floated back. Like, he's been a late first and now he's a mid-third. Like, that's kind of wild. Neighbors has fallen back a bit. Obviously, the Giants discount you're getting. Outside of that, Joe Mixon's a big winner here this offseason for those that are going zero RB from the get-go, someone like that. I'm a big Joe Mixon fan. I think he's fantastic. And he's going to a team that's equally as good in Houston as Cincinnati were. And he's gone from the 8th round this offseason out to the 4th round. So that's interesting too. Any other discrepancies on rookies in here at the moment? O'Dunn's, I'd be interested to see where he's gone. Remo Dunn's in the 6th round. So he's gone back to the 6th round. He started to climb a little bit. So him and Neighbors have moved back. But outside of that, nothing. I think Jonathan Brooks will be going shortly, which is kind of interesting to see. But you look at that 6th round, look at these rookies that are starting to fly off. McConkey there in the 6th because he's going to the Chargers. There's no other receivers of note. O'Dunn's is in there. Worthy's in there. Brian Thomas, who I think is in a peach position now. It's funny, he's just gone after Jordan Addison. You look at Brian Thomas, he's going to have that Jordan Addison year. I can see him going like off this season. He's going to have a few big weeks, and he's perfect for best ball in that regard. Perfect for redraft and dynasty, but interesting to see him in there. Zamir White's climbed up. Obviously, he's a guy that you've lost all discounts now on Zamir White. He was a guy that was going in the 10th round. I was getting him everywhere, and you're not getting that anymore. So interesting. We're going to be on the clock. I'm going to get to these questions in a minute. Thank you very much. As always, underdogfantasy.com, promo code GF2 for 100% matching deposit up to $100. I know there's other promo codes, and Jeff sent them out. Ask Jeff Lambert77 on Twitter. Go ask him. Find him in our Discord. I don't know. I don't read this shit. I don't do anything. Ask Jeff. And maybe you can ask him to change the title of my thing to test. I wonder if I can change that. Oh, no, it froze. I'm not doing that now. I'll do that afterwards. See, I just tried to do that. We froze. Look at that. See, Dan's playing with it. Dan, stop playing with the stream while you're live. I can't help it, man. Deontay Johnson's on the clock next, and that's funny because the question that's coming up here is about to. Oh, we just went. Sad face Dan. We are going to grab. Who have we got so far? Let's have a look. We're going to do something fun here. We're going to go grab. Let's go Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin had a real quiet year last year, so the rebound's going to be on. can feel that coming for him. Another 1,000-yard season. Touchdowns aren't his thing, but half PPR is a bit of a monster, a bit of a machine. If I can get 185 points out of him, a bit of a rebound, a touchdown, 2 or more, that'd be fantastic. 2 touchdowns for him last year seems kind of soft. But again, like we're starting to load up with guys who are, late round quarterback appropriate. So we can start to do that, that's good. That's nice. Baker Mayfield, we can throw in there too. Daniel Jones is in there. Let's get to this question after this next pick. But so far, our team, let's get back onto that. Let's have a look at our team here. So far, we have got Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker as our running backs. We've anchored with them. Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors, Cooper Kupp, and Chris Godwin, George Kittle. So NFC heavy, if you will, if that's your thing, which is fine. Let's have a look here. Any surprises that have come up outside of a little bit there in the 7th round? So, again, Zamir White coming up to the 7th. I mean, a lot of people are going to just start flooding onto him. He's going to get you watch him get the hype when it hits redraft season. Zamir White's going to just start pumping up. There he goes. Jonathan Brooks there, 8-1 in front of Jaylen Warren like he should be. I am going to look at this team, and I feel like go get DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Watson. Watson's not a bad option. Bit of a red zone target. Plays that very well as our 5th receiver. We'll take that to the bank. Thanks for coming. Let's have a look at these questions. Thank you for bringing them in, as always. What do I think about Deontay Johnson this year with a dump-off king quarterback? Have you been drafting him at his value? I've been trying to. We had a pretty cool discussion in our Discord about a week or two ago about overexposure or underexposure, I guess, to a degree. And you can make your own mind up about where you stand on that and about how many plays or how much is too much or having mass exposure is too much. And I guess in that realm, I try not to get a massive spread of anyone. I try to keep everything around 25% across the board. But like if you have a look at how the Panthers are set up, obviously they've got a very, very young, outside of Adam Thielen, it's a very young team. So Hubbard's still relatively young. They've brought in Jonathan Brooks, Leggett. They've got Mingo still. So, and obviously Bryce Young in his 2nd year. They're probably going to try and unlock him. Obviously, we've seen Dave Canales try and do that with Geno Smith in Seattle and last year with Baker Mayfield. So we can kind of gauge the idea that he's got a coach around him that will look after him. And we've seen that consistently from Canales, right? So we can assume that. He's not the same sort of guy that DK Metcalf or Mike Evans is. I think we can safely assume that. So we can look at a guy like Tyler Lockett, Chris Godwin, guys that play inside more that can get good separation. And if you're looking at a guy like Deontay Johnson, then yes, drafting him is a good option. But like touchdowns, and it might not be his thing because touchdowns in Pittsburgh for Deontay Johnson were horrific. Didn't he have like 180 targets a year or two ago and 0 touchdowns one year? Like it's kind of one of those things where it's either in him or it's not. And for Deontay Johnson to be that productive of a receiver, like I just took Chris Godwin. If you're telling me that like Deontay Johnson can get 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, 90 receptions, I'd say, yeah, I think it's in him. And I don't think that matters quarterback-wise because he's had quarterbacks that are slingers and they were terrible. So if it's a dump-off, I'll take it because that half reception it's only going to weigh up for you at some point anyway. So I don't mind Deontay Johnson. I've always been a Deontay Johnson fan. It's just one of those things where it's a tough team to gauge at this point. Obviously, drafting Leggett doesn't help. Mingo, where does he fit in? It's only been 1 year. Thielen's still there. Their tight ends, it's like Tommy Tremble and Jatavius. Like, it's a very hard team to get a gauge on. I have him in my projections going ahead of all of them. So Deontay Johnson for me, I feel, for someone who could grapple a lot of targets, I feel like that's a good place for him to be. When are we on the clock next? We're up soon. Underdog is so hard to read. I can't see which position you were drafted from. I'm from the 10. This is 1 QB, no super flex. It's just best ball. So it's just a best ball draft. For those who are joining us for the first time, I guess it's 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 receivers, 1 flex, and a tight end, I guess. And then it's an 18-round draft. And that's it. It's half PPR, 4 points per passing touchdown, 6 points per scoring. Do we want to go in here? What have we got? Let's have a look. Don't need a tight end quarterback. I don't mind. Mike Williams could be interesting. Adonai Mitchell. I'm okay on all these guys. Let's grab Austin Eckler. Let's have some fun. Let's grab Eckler. probably on the way out, but that doesn't matter too much. But yes, that's the format. So that's underdog formats, which is great. It's a great way to play. It's an easy way to draft. 18 rounds. It's come down 2 rounds since the turn, so I'm happy with that. I think if Purdy's there, we might take Purdy. I'm not over the moon. Maybe Hockenson. Maybe we'll grab that second tight end and call it a day. I think Hockenson we're going to go next. Let's have a look. Anyone here? Yeah, let's grab Hockenson. Let's do that. 2 tight ends in there with Hockenson and Kittle at half PPR. I'll take that all day. Let's have a look. Let me get to your other questions. So let's have a look. How would I rank? Who would you rank the following 5 rookie wide receivers? Roman Wilson, Jalen McMillan, Luke McCaffrey, Troy Franklin, Javon Baker. That's an interesting question. Pending format, if we're just saying it's full PPR, actually it's a best ball show. So let's say it's underdog formatting and half PPR. I don't mind Roman Wilson. Jalen McMillan, we can pump down the bottom. I don't think there's any need. I don't think there's any need to kind of go that far. Roman Wilson's interesting, but the problem is that we know that like the top receiver for Arthur Smith caps out at like 120 targets. So that says a lot. And that's a guy that's had AJ Brown. It's a guy that's had who did he have in Atlanta? Drake London. So we already know that the top receiver in Pittsburgh's already capped. For me, if it's opportunity based, like I'm a big Javon Baker fan. That's just a UCF guy, and you can go late on him. So if it's according to like value because of where you can draft them, I would say Javon Baker first. I'd say Roman Wilson second. Luke McCaffrey I'll get to him in a minute. Troy Franklin will go third. We'll go McCaffrey fourth, and then we're going to say McMillan fifth. McMillan's just unlucky because he's in a team that's just loaded at the moment. Evans, Godwin, Trey Palmer, Kate Otten, and you got Rashad White in there. Where he fits in all that, that's just unfortunate. Javon Baker's in a wide open team, and we can talk about Jalen Polk. That's fine. They've got KJ Osborne, okay. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's still there. Kendrick Bourne, that wide receiver room is there for the taking. So for me, a guy like Javon Baker, I think he's in a good position to be a guy that just comes in and takes over. Now, the unfortunate side to that is he could end up like Jonathan Mingo last year with a wide open wide receiver room and just turns to mush. But I kind of like May and I kind of like Baker. I think it's a good enough pairing for me at this point. So for me, I'd say Baker, Wilson, Franklin, because that's, again, that wide receiver room in Denver is fairly open. And then I'd say McCaffrey, McMillan. McCaffrey's unlucky. I'll tell you this about McCaffrey, and here's the thing, and this is not a shot at McCaffrey. This is a shot at Javon Dotson. Am I on the clock? I'm not on the clock, am I? 8 picks. Jahan Dotson. This is a shot at Jahan Dotson. If you can't beat Curtis Samuel weekly, like I don't know if you're that guy. And that's just me. I talk about the idea of being able to outwork people in your team. If Curtis Samuel is your best option outside, McLaurin's in a different level, but if you can't outwork Curtis Samuel and you get stuck as your team's wide receiver 3, what makes you that team's wide receiver 2? So I think Luke McCaffrey has a chance in what? It was a top 100 pick, I think, or am I thinking of someone else? Yeah, I think he was top 100. Washington took him like pick 100, right? If that's you, then I mean that spot's kind of wide open. They've seemed to lock up their tight end department. You think about it, that Zach Ertz, Ben Sinnott, that wide receiver room's open. And I think McCaffrey could do enough to outwork Jahan Dotson, who really couldn't beat out Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel left in free agency. It's not that he was under contract. He was just better than him during the year. I think it's wild. Yeah, I mean, he could. Roman Wilson could have that upside. Sure. I like the guy that Cincinnati took. Where's his name? I'm forgetting his name. I'm having a moment here. I probably shouldn't look because I'm on the clock. Ooh. We are going to go. I think we can go Spears here. Let's go Tajay Spears. Where is it? Cincinnati. Where are you, buddy? Come on. Where's your name? Where are you? Jermaine Burton. I kind of like Jermaine Burton because we know that Cincinnati like to go to 3 wide receiver sets, and we know that Tyler Boyd's not there, and we know that the only thing that's stopping him, they don't use tight ends for their life. Like, it's just not happening. And there's no mix in there, so you have to hope that maybe Chase Brown is a guy that's going to get his way. There you go, Burton. Thank you. He's got to beat out Iosivas, Charlie Jones, and Trent Irwin. I find that an interesting name to keep a hold of in terms of guys that could be interesting wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, flex upsides. I think that's an interesting name to look at, especially if they happen to move Higgins during the year. So that, I hate that projection crap, saying, oh, they're going to trade. No. Higgins is there. If he holds out or whatever, that's up to him, but that's something. And we're going to take Stafford there as our first quarterback off the board. Welcome. Javon Baker gives me St. Brown vibes with his attitude, thinking he's the best. I mean, you've got to, at some point, like the narcissism has to kick in, right? Like you have to have the ego and narcissism to think the world revolves around you. And if you're that guy that believes I'm better than everyone, it can only go so, like, it's a fine line, right? Like on this side of the line, it's like Amon-Ra St. Brown. On this side of the line, it's Chase Claypool. And that's where you're at. You're either Amon-Ra St. Brown or Chase Claypool. Claypool's saying he's a top 3 receiver and he wasn't number 3. He's still the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Well, they got Stephon Diggs' numbers, so he must be good now, right? Let's have a look here. We've made our pick there, Matt Stafford. We've got the stack there with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. I like that for us. We've got a few San Fran plays in there, Kenneth Walker too. So we've got some NFC West in there for a stack for the playoff weeks. Any surprises since the 7th round? Let's have a look. Let's go through here. James Conner's come up as well, which I like. Raheem Mostert stayed pat in the 8th. The RB2 from last year has stayed pat in this area, which is kind of wild to me because he's still going to get chances. Jameson Williams is a big winner from the draft. They didn't really acquire another wide receiver, so I like that for him. Outside, Brock Bowers has now moved back 2 rounds. That's telling. Brock Bowers was a bona fide 7th round pick a couple of weeks back. He's now moved back 2 rounds. Curtis Samuel, obviously a winner from the draft. He's come up into the 9th round. Not much more going on here. Trey Benson. You got Trey Benson going around after James Conner. Oh, my God. Well, whatever. That's interesting. That's interesting to me. Gus Edwards is still in there. So Gus Edwards is around that 10th round range. They do have, who they draft? They drafted Vidal or Loeb, right? Loeb went to Vegas. I can't remember. They drafted one of those guys. And then added J.K. Dobbins and DJ Chark, so that's something. Adonai Mitchell is an interesting one for me in the 10th round. I don't think I'd be doing that, or Khalil Shakir, personally, because you're looking at these guys at their team's wide receiver 3. We don't know the pass volume that Anthony Richardson's going to have. And he's their team's wide receiver 3 at this point because he hasn't beaten Josh Downs for a job yet. And he's not going to beat out Michael Pittman. And they still have Jonathan Taylor in there. So the 3rd wide receiver on that team is going in the 10th round. For me, with an unproven quarterback in the NFL, that to me is a bad pick. I don't like saying bad picks. That's a bad pick at this point. Again, Khalil Shakir is in the same boat for me. I don't think I'd be touching him in the 10th round. That's not for me. We're going to be up in a pick or two's time. What do we got here? Baker Mayfield? No, we don't have Baker Mayfield. How about them apples? And we're looking on the clock here. Quentin Johnson's in there, Darnell Mooney, Roman Wilson, Ricky Pearsall. I'm not touching for my life. Let's have a look in here. Let's have some fun. Let's have some. Let's grow Roman Wilson. Let's do it. We're talking about him. Let's add him in there. Trevor Lawrence in the 11th round is still mind-blowing to me. That's kind of madness. Any other shocks in here? Pat Frymouth in the 12th round. I don't even know if I'd be doing that anymore. I don't have any confidence in Arthur Smith. Brandon Cooks quietly had a very decent year last year. Solid. Good wide receiver 3 flex area. Rico Dowdle in the 12th round. Holy shit. Rico Dowdle, 12th round. Oh my dear God. Yep. Cool. Why not? Leggett there in the 12th round. We were talking about that before. Cole Kmet that has no right going in the 12th round. I don't know what that's all about. That's got to stop quickly. Looking at our team, 18 rounds. Chuba Hubbard maybe. That's an interesting one there in the 14th round. Let's go Chuba Hubbard. Let's Let's add Bryce Young to our queue because we have who do we have? Who do we have in here? Our team's interesting. Daniel Jones, we can add. We can add Russell Wilson in there too. Why am I adding Bryce Young? I don't need to do that. How Justin Fields is going anywhere near Russell Wilson at this point? How? That's one. There's one for you that does my head in. Russell Wilson going going behind Justin Fields at this point. How do we even? Let's have a look at our team. I'll get on. We're going to get on a tangent. So we've got Matt Stafford in there stacked with Nakua and Kupp. Our running backs at this point, we're going to leave it at 5. We're done. Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, Austin Eckler, Tajay Spears, Chuba Hubbard. I'm very happy with that as a solid veteran group. Wide receivers, Nakua, Neighbors, Kupp, Godwin, Christian Watson as well, red zone fiend, and Raymond Wilson. A bit of upside there from Pittsburgh. Tight ends, Kittle and Hawkinson. We've got 4 rounds to go, so we're looking to add another couple quarterbacks and a wide receiver here or there. So we're going to leave it at 5 running backs. We're going to stay away from that going forward, and that's going to be good for me. Let's have a look here. Do you think Ricky Pearsall has upside in San Fran? Is he a better rookie than Jermaine Burton, Javon Baker? No. Pearsall's nice. I like Pearsall as a receiver. Where does he fit? I mean, you're talking about one, they've drafted rookie receivers before. They don't really fit in, right? So he's got a tendency to kind of stay off that, right? You've got Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, and McCaffrey. And between the 4 of them is 500 targets. So where are these guys going to fit more on top of a rush game? For me, he's nice in Dynasty if you think you can hold him while they move either Ayuk or Debo Samuel or whatever. Sure, great. But in this format, best ball, I don't, especially where I just don't see the need. In terms of, is he a better rookie? Again, I would take Burton, Baker, and Wilson all ahead of him at this point. You're talking about opportunity, and I can't find one for him at this point. We know that Wilson's going to get a shot in Pittsburgh at some point. It's just Austin, right? Burton, since he can get to that wide receiver 3 spot, which Burrow likes to use, Baker's in a team with opportunity all over the place. But with me, for Pearsall, I just don't think I can do it. If Boyd goes back to Cincy, why would Burton have any value with Higgin and Chaser there? He wouldn't. But there's been no talk about Boyd going back to Cincy either, so I don't think so. I don't think that's big of a problem. And even still, I know that he has a chance at this point. With Pearsall, I don't. I don't know that he has a chance. And that's the other side of it too. Let's get another question here. Tajay Spears, how far apart will his production be behind Pollard? I actually did this, but I'm up in a few picks time. So after I make this pick, what do we got here? Receiver, we've got 6 receivers. We don't really need another tight end, do we? No one's going to want Daniel Jones. No one's going to want Russell Wilson. We might be able to get away with this. Let's have a look. Sorry for the dead silence. I'm going to get there. Meanwhile, while I'm waiting, a sip for the good guys. We've got 4 picks to go. 2 quarterbacks, a receiver, and a tight end. We can do that. If we're having a look, we're talking about McCaffrey. Let's get some McCaffrey in here. Oh, no, Javon Baker. See you later. Sorry, McCaffrey. That was short-lived. Okay, let's have a look. In terms of production, let me get that up after this, but let's get to that other question here. I'm confused why Shanahan took Pearsall in the. Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. Honestly, I don't know why. I guess options. I guess. It's just maybe he was thinking something was happening. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why he took him, and it's weird. It's a weird one for me. I like him. I think he's a good player. I don't mind it. I don't hate it at all. Yeah, no, I just don't see how there's any threat. Oh, I'm on the clock. Let's have a look here. We're going to need a quarterback. You know what? You know who we do have? We do have TJ Hawkinson. Let's add JJ McCarthy in there. Let's do that. Let's get that stack in there. Why not? We're going to let's get to that question here. Let me find that for you. I'm going to tell you what I had because I've done projections for Tennessee, I believe. Where are we? Tennessee. I'm pretty sure I did this. If not, I'm lying. I don't want to be that guy that lies to you about that. Let me have a look here. I have them. I did do it. No, I didn't do it. Ah, crap. Not up to Tennessee yet. I don't think they're that far behind, to be honest with you. I don't see Pollard running away with a split. I think he was best used in a committee, and I think Spears has done enough to kind of warrant that. Now, how much we think that's going to be, let's have a look here. Spears punched out 100 attempts last year, 52 receptions. I think that's the key here, especially in half PPR. You're going to need, if you can tell me that Tyjae Spears can get to, you look at that like Austin Eckler range of like 10 carries, 5 receptions, you can get him to 15 touches a game. I kind of like that, to be honest with you. I don't hate that for him. You get him to 10, 15 touches a game, I think that's effective. But I also look at a guy like Tyjae Spears, and he's now going behind Chase Brown, and it's kind of like, what are we doing here? You know, it's kind of like the same sort of scenario in a way. Like Zach Moss is probably less of a threat than Tony Pollard. I understand that. Where do I rank George Kittle this season amongst all the tight ends? He's a bona fide top 5, top 6 guy. And the thing is, like, you can lock in the big 3, I guess. You can lock in Kittle. You can lock in Kittle, Andrews, and Kelce always to be in that top 5. Now, what room for error there is? Ingram had a massive year last year. I don't think that changes. So Ingram, you can say top 5 as well. Laporta's going to be in there. Nothing changed in Detroit. So if those are the 5 that are in there, who can break into that and disrupt? Hawkinson has to come back healthy. Bowers, how he does that now, I don't know in Vegas because the quarterback play probably isn't great, and you're looking at Adams and Myers as well. I don't think that's optimal. Are we on the clock? I'm not on the clock. What are we doing here? 15 seconds. I look at the tab up top, it says 15 seconds, and I think, oh no, I'm behind. I'm sorry about that. But it's interesting in that regard. And I just don't see, if I'm looking at the tight ends, I don't. Maybe David Njoku has games in him. Maybe Dalton Kincaid's a guy that can break in and get away from Kittle. And I'm not the biggest George Kittle guy. I really am not. I think he's good. I think he's taken a step back a little bit. And that says something because obviously Kelce took half a step back. Andrews didn't look as great last year. Like, it's there. Like, I'm not saying they're in flux, the positions in flux as it was a couple of years ago where you had like Gronk and all those sorts of guys, Greg Olson's and all that. But, you know, he's probably about another season away from being a season away. That's what I'd say. And I think he's a good chance to be a top 5, top 6 guy. But it's hard to kind of gauge anything else in that regard. Thank you for tuning in on a Sunday afternoon. I appreciate you too. That's what we're doing. We're drafting. We're enjoying a Sunday afternoon. That's it. Having a few bets here or there. That's what we're here to do. And do some best ball, obviously. Obviously, you can do that on underdogfantasy.com. Promo code GF2, 100% matching deposit up to $100 on your initial outlay. Come find us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, smash the alerts, and join us there. Obviously, all that sort of stuff. As always, you can find me on Twitter or on Discord at the B League Says. I'm over there. Find me in the Best Ball channel. What percentage do I predict? What percentage do I predict San Fran trading away Ayuk? I don't. I just don't know why they would. At this point, they still have like Brock Purdy on a cheap deal. Like, they'll figure it out. They got rid of like a lot of defensive guys. I think they'll figure it out. I just don't see why they would trade him away when they have this window to. I just don't. And especially now, like, you can't replace him with like a rookie now. Like, okay, Pearsall, I get it, but who we got here? Did Daniel Jones go? Oh, we've been sniped. Oh no. Who else we got here? Where's Russell Wilson? We got Russell Wilson going as well. We got absolutely hammered on that. Oh, I'm not even watching. Let's grab Dawson Knox in the 17th round. Let's do that. Let's get weird. I absolutely haven't been watching this. I was too busy answering questions. I'm sorry. I didn't really want Dawson Knox. Oh no. Oh no. That's okay. I need a quarterback. Who we got here? Bo Nix, Gardner Minshew, Michael Penix. Let's take Gardner Minshew. Let's take Mayer then. Crap. Yeah, I don't see them trading him away. I just don't see a need. They have a window to win, and they've got it while Purdy's cheap. They're going to have to pay him next year, and I'm pretty sure McCaffrey has got 1 year left. I want to say. So you're talking about a guy that they could restructure behind that. I think I don't know. I just don't see them doing it, to be honest. Weirder things have happened, and they've traded away players that have done decent. I remember, like, when he was a rookie, like, he was okay, Dante Peterson, then gone like a year later. So, I mean, they do it. No, don't worry. It's a $3 draft. There's nothing. It's good. Don't worry. I should have been paying attention. Bo Nix or Gardner Minshew? Quick, someone tell me which one to draft. I don't really care at this point. Nix or Minshew? First one to answer, a draft. Quick. Hang on. Where are we going? Quick, someone answer. Minshew it is. Okay. I like to have fun. There we go. Our last pick's going to be Gardner Minshew. So, no, don't worry about the questions. I absolutely appreciate it. It just helps me. It actually helps me through the draft when I get questions, because then I have to start thinking. So it's a good thing. My accent. I've been here 10 years. You'd think it'd change already. It hasn't yet. It's starting to hurt, though, an hour in. One of my earlier drafts, I questioned why he took Sinot. It was a great call by me. Where's he going in drafts now? That's a good question. Let's have a look. The last I checked, he was going in the 17th round. So the last draft I did post NFL draft, so that was like a week ago. It was the 17th round. So he'd climbed 3 or 4 rounds. Sinot's going to go earlier than that now. There we go. Ben Sinot, 13th round. So Ben Sinot, 13th round, I was getting him in the 20th. And again, this is not a Dan was right thing, because I could be very wrong, and people taking him in the 13th round could be very, very wrong. Okay. But at that point, you're also talking about 20 rounds, and we're talking about, I just don't see the point in taking Bowers in the 7th round, having to again, I think the conversation we were having, Jamie, if I remember correctly, it was about outproducing players at ADP, and that's really the crux of best ball, right? Like, you want players to outproduce their ADP, and that's the thing. It's easy to say Ben Sinot in the 20th round can outproduce 20th round production. That makes sense, right? Now he has to outproduce 13th round production, and in the 13th round, we're talking about guys. You look at the round he's going in. He's going with Michael Wilson, Ty Chandler, Troy Franklin. He has to outproduce Baker Mayfield, Kendre Miller, Roman Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, like guys who are there. And you look around earlier, quarterbacks like Stafford, Cousins, and Judy's in there too. Watson, Geno Smith, Marvin Mims. There's good players in that range that he has to now compete with. So it's easy to say, it's very easy to say and suggest Ben Sinot can outproduce 20th round production, which is what I think. And this is what we're talking about, like Trey McBride. I think it was Trey McBride we were talking about, not Brock Bowers. It was hard to say Trey McBride in the fourth or fifth round. He has to outproduce 4th or 5th round players. And that's very hard to do. And that's where the expectation is. He has to give you 5th round production now, which is, it's DK Metcalf's, it's Joe Mixon's, it's Pat Mahomes. Trey McBride has to give you a reason to draft a tight end over Pat Mahomes, or Travis Kelce was going before Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. So he has to give you numbers that he hasn't given you consistently, except for a 5-6 game sample mid-year. And he has to outperform that now. So he has to be drafted as a 5th round guy and give you 3rd round production. Ben Sinot, the 20th, can give me 13th round production. I don't give a shit. It's a 20th round dart throw. It's fine, but it's there. McBride, I can't even fathom taking him that early. Now they have Marlon Harrison, and they've drafted another receiver. Now they've added a running back in Trey Benson, and all of a sudden, like this guy in Trey McBride, he has competition for work now. Now he's going to eat a lot, but we're talking Marvin Harrison could walk into as a rookie 160 targets. Trey McBride's not going to get 160 targets this year. It's not going to happen. He's not going to get you 10 targets a game. It's not going to work that way. And that's what we were drafting him as then. Michael Pittman will give you 160 targets. Guys like that are going to give that to you. He has to do that, and you have no guarantee that he will. But Ben Sinnott, can he go from a 20th round guy, and if he scores me nothing all year, who gives a shit, to can he get me 3 to 4 targets a game in Washington? He can do that. Can Ben Sinnott give me Hunter Henry numbers? Can he give me 4 targets, 3 receptions, 35 yards and a touchdown? Can he get me 10 points in half PPR from the 20th round? If he can, that's a win. Like, that's a big win for me. And I know it sounds silly, but whatever. We're going to have a look at this team in a minute. I'm going to answer these questions. I don't think San Fran can afford to pay Ayuk with another massive contract and keeping Pearsall after his rookie. Look, Pearsall's going to be there, I think, next year anyway. So I think if this is a dynasty-based question, I don't think it matters too much to anything, because I don't see them letting Ayuk go now post-draft. I think if he was going to go, it would have had to have been pre-draft or during the draft, and they could have gotten something for it. But now that they haven't, I don't see them getting rid of him now in the middle of the dead season with nothing to recoup from it. Okay, they've got Pearsall, but Pearsall isn't going to replace what Ayuk can do now. It's just, there's no point. And if that's the case, that's a big step back for a team that was like this close from winning it all. So that makes no sense to me. So if they were going to do it, they had to have done it 2-3 weeks ago. Now, could they do it during the year? Maybe. But they'd have to get rid of him if that team starts to collapse. And they're so well built. I don't see that happening. I don't know why San Fran would ever be not well built. So for me, I think he gets a new contract. Maybe that's something where they restructure Kittle, they restructure McCaffrey, they find a way to keep him about. I just don't see why they would get rid of him with Purdy being so cheap. And they lost a few good pieces on defense that were costly. I feel like that might be something where they can kind of get away with keeping him. And they're smart enough. They didn't let him go. They kept him around. They'll try and figure it out now. Here's a question I never thought I'd see. What's your thoughts on the Giants tight end battle with Dan Bellinger versus Theo Johnson? I don't know. From a Giants fan perspective, I feel like they had to do something because Bellinger, he's just a guy. He's a Michael Pruitt. I know you had the Fab question now going to chat about Theo. I get it. Bellinger, what's he actually going to do for you? Like, he's not, in terms of fantasy anyway. I don't. As a rookie, he gave you 250 yards and a touchdown or 2. With Darren Waller, he gave you 250 yards and a touchdown or 2. If you're looking for upside, Theo Johnson, sure, I get it. And I can handle that in that regard. Where is I wish I had the draft board up. But we'll get to this in a second. Yeah, so if I had to guess anything, I'd say Theo Johnson, because the new team with Daboll and all that, they might just look at him as a better option, better weapon. I would look that way, but I don't know. I don't care for Daniel Bellinger. He's just whatever. And that's the thing. The other side of this is Darren Waller hasn't outright retired. Everyone keeps saying he's going to or he's thinking about it. He actually hasn't done it yet. And if that's the case, Darren Waller this year could be an absolute fiend if he sticks around and plays one more year. And that's the other side of this too. So I don't know. It's probably a situation, if it's me, I'm just avoiding altogether. I just traded my 302 or 49 to the 210 to grab Randall Wilson. Yeah, I get it. If you can do it. I'm in a rookie draft at the moment. I've made an offer for every pick for the first round. It's a 14-team Superflex IDP, and I can't get shit. So I'm in a bad mood this morning. Our draft started yesterday. First round's done, and I got nothing. And I was offering players. I was offering Olave, Waddle, James Cook. I even offered Mark Andrews at one point, and I got nothing from these guys. So whatever. I'm very frustrated at the moment. Yes, he's incredibly athletic, and his upside is there. He gives me. I hate the Penn State comparison. For some reason, he gives me Dallas Goddard vibes. That's just me, and I'm not the dynasty guy in here. Believe me, I'm not a dynasty guy. I like playing it. I'm in one league, a couple leagues I used to be, and I just don't care anymore. But for me, it's just one of those things where, yeah, he gives me that. Who was that other one? He was like an athletic guy. He was like from a small school. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. It wasn't Jay Sternberg. It was someone else. He was like a water polo player. The dynasty community was going nuts over him. I remember he was like a water polo guy, and everyone went bonkers. Someone Google that and let me know. I'd love to know. I forget the guy's name. I hope San Fran could keep their core intact. They always beat Kansas. I was hoping they picked O-line or cornerback in the first round instead of Pierce. Yeah, again, like it's like Kansas taking Xavier Worthy with something happening to Rice, and it's like Kansas taking Mecole Hardman with something happening to Hill. Like it's one of those things where they're in a position for a luxury pick. They've got the 5 years, I guess, on that contract, 4 years plus one for tagging or whatever it may be. I forget how it works now. But if you're looking at it like that, they're not known for 3 wide receiver sets. And that's the thing. Like to put Pearsall in, you have to take Kittle out. And Kittle's so pivotal to their blocking game. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to take Christian. When do you ever want to take Christian McCaffrey off the field? Like that's the thing for me. Like if you want to leave Kittle in, you have to take McCaffrey out. Why would you do that? Like I can't get my like. Here's how lucky they are. At 3rd and 15, McCaffrey can still get you 20, and that's Pearsall might not. That's the thing. McCaffrey could literally get them 15, 16 yards on a 3rd and 15. And that's the truth. And he could do that. So the idea that he's going to come in and get more work, I hope he blends in next year. I just think it's like a Quentin Johnson. Next year's he might be our guy next year if Ayuk or Samuel move or Kittle moves or whatever. I hope I'm wrong because I like Pearson. I like the talent. I got him in a couple leagues, but a couple best ball leagues. I have a bit of him. It's just and you got to be careful when you're drafting these guys, when you're doing your best ball drafts, and you see these guys and they get taken. Those guys are coming in at the end of those last rounds. You're like, oh man, Kansas, San Fran. You're looking at Buffalo. They come in and take someone, right? Obviously, Diggs moved on, but hard to do. We're going to recap this as it is. We are projected for 2,800 points, give or take. 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 receivers, 3 tight ends. Quarterbacks, we didn't take one until after pick 135. I find that a bargain. Matt Stafford, JJ McCarthy, Gardner Minshew, rounding that out. Running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Kenneth Walker, Austin Eckler, Tyjae Spears, Chuba Hubbard. I'm happy with that. Decent little backfield there with a lot of good veterans there that are going to get us some good games. A little bit of an injury problem in there with Eckler, maybe Hubbard as well. He's a little soft. Either way. Wide receiver, soft. I shouldn't say that. The guy's an animal. They're all warriors, but, gets a little nicked up every now and then, doesn't he? Wide receivers, Nakua and Cooper Kupp was a Rams stack with Stafford. We got Malik Neighbors in there. We got Chris Godwin, Christian Watson, Roman Wilson, Javon Baker. A few rookies in there late. I'm happy with that. Kittle, Hockenson, and why not take Dawson Knox? Unbelievable. What are you going to do? What a day. That is our team as it would be. Where did we go? I've disappeared. There we go. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. It's been an hour of fun. I have to can it now, otherwise I can't download the thing and run into that problem. As always, you can find me on Twitter or Discord at the B League Says. You can tag me in the best ball chat there. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code GF2 for 100% matching deposit up to $100 on your initial outlay. Obviously, YouTube, find us, do all that sort of stuff there. Subscribe, hit the alerts, and everything else that goes with it. Fun going for 2 live. Enjoy your show. Thank you very much for tuning in with me on a Sunday afternoon. Thank you for sticking with me, talking some rookies, talking some best ball, talking some drafts. Hell of a day. Do I think so? I think, just quickly, I think Christian Watson will be trailing Romeo Doubs and ahead of Jaden Reed in 2 wide receivers with Doubs. Reed will be the 3rd man out. If Watson is out, Reed goes to their target leader. Safest bet is their 3rd man, Romeo Doubs, that you can get cheaper than all 3 of them. That's just my take. It is what it is. So if it's me, it's Doubs, Watson, Reed. Watson's out. Reed, Doubs, Wicks. There we go. Cheers. Thanks very much and goodbye.